Hey guys, so happy to meet you again. Now, what if I told you that the combined annual turnover of all the clubs that play the European League soccer is bigger than some of the better known corporates? Hard to believe, right? But that's the case. The combined annual revenue of all the clubs that play the European League soccer is approximately 23 billion US dollar in a single year, which is bigger than what McDonald's reports as its annual turnover, which is around 21 or 22 billion US dollars. That's how big this sport gets, right? Or take the example of, let's say, the National Football League, NFL championships in the United States. Now, although that's a very localized American affair, with ending with the Super Bowl at the end of the championships, the 30 or 32 odd clubs which play the league report annual turnover of revenue of $12 billion, which is what Infosys rakes in a year. So if you are thinking of making a career in, let's say, IT or FMCG, then why not sports? It's as big as it gets over there, and it's only increasing in India, right? So welcome to Careertainment, and thank you for watching and subscribing. And today we shall talk about how to make a career in sport. Now, I know many of you are interested in this business, but don't know where to make a beginning or don't know how the ecosystem works, of course, because it's very nascent, right, at this point of time. Now, I've had some interest in sport. I've had a interest in a motorsport company in the past, and even today one of my companies is involved in cycling. So I'm close to the business of cycling also, and I can tell you with certainty the opportunities that this sector offers is huge. And I'll throw some light and probably at the end of the video give tips to at least the youngsters as to where they should make a beginning and what will help them most in the longer run. Now, frankly, any industry that revolves around a basic human instinct has to be big, right? Food, entertainment. So is the case with sports. Now, sports is as close a basic instinct as it gets. So the industry is huge. So don't be surprised, but the industry size, sports industry globally is around 600 billion US dollars and growing fast. And in India, it's growing faster. And there's a lot of government support now because the current minister, Kiran Rijiju, is in fact a fit guy and very much involved in sports and looking at overall development of the sport. Even in the past, the earlier sports minister was in fact an Olympian. So all seems to be good for the sport. The international benchmarks are still far. Of course, the only obvious example is IPL. Now, IPL rakes in up close to 4,000 crores in a year. Now, that's a big number also. Just to give you an idea of scale, that's bigger than the combined revenue of, let's say, Ola and Swiggy put together. Yeah, right. With all the noise that these guys make, that combined annual revenue is not bigger than IPL. Now, that's the kind of number we're talking about. Or take the Pro Kabaddi League. Now, it's just amazing. In the past few years, Pro Kabaddi League now rakes in approximately 250 to 300 crores in a year. And it's only going to go bigger with audience involvement and players' salary increasing. Now, it's huge. This involves sponsorship money, ticket, gate money, etc., everything. So it's just getting bigger and bigger with badminton, table tennis, wrestling, cycling, all these people coming on. I think sports is a sunrise industry if you want to make a career in sport. Now, if you want to make a career in sports, it's very important that you understand the entire ecosystem. Now, the ecosystem of the sports industry is a very symbiotic ecosystem. It revolves around three pegs essentially: the regulator, the sports per se, which includes the sportsmen and the teams, etc., and of course the audience side, which is live audience or electronic audience. And then of course there are a lot of allied industry around this ecosystem. But essentially these three: the regulator, the sport per se, and the audience. Now, each of them have lucrative career opportunities. But before we go there, let's understand briefly the roles of all these. Now, the regulator's role is essentially to administer and regulate the sport, right? Standardize rules so that we play as per international norms, etc. But more importantly, development of the grassroots level of sports so that more and more people play the sport. Yeah, so their involvement, right from, and there's a lot of government involvement, at least in India, right from Sports Authority of India and coaches and various federations. Now, each of these federation has a hierarchy, right? So, for example, if there is BCCI over here, there's ICC internationally for cricket. If there is CFI in cycling for India, then there is the UCI internationally, and so on and so forth, from the Badminton Association, the wrestling federations, etc. So there's a global hierarchy, and then there are India chapters, and this regulators involved in making the rules and administering the sport so that more and more people join the sport. On the sports side, the role of the sports side, people involved in the sports side, is to make the game very attractive. So increase competitiveness, hold championships and tournaments so that more and more people play at a global level and make the entire sports very attractive and lucrative for the audience to watch. And the audience side, the role is very clear: to increase the audience which watches the sport, right? So for example, IPL is watched by 400 million people in a year. Now, PKL, which seems small, is also watched by 300 million people. So obviously, people who are involved on the audience side are doing a great job with more and more people joining and watching the sport. So these three pegs, they work in a very nice symbiotic relationship to bring up the industry. Now, if you want to make a career, you can make a career in all these three areas, right? So on the regulator side, there's a hierarchy. You can join at the lowest level and grow to the topmost level. So the lowest level could be, coaches or administrator or sports development officers, etc. And you could become secretaries and presidents of the various federations. Now that's the hierarchy over there. Of course, on the sports side, it's a regular corporate hierarchy. People are actually hiring. All these clubs are actually hiring people even from top business schools, and the salaries are not bad, and they are in fact very good. They match up with any corporate salaries because after all, the teams are owned by corporates, so they understand the hierarchy over there. The BCCI chief gets a salary of more than 5 crores. The IPL chief gets a salary of more than 1.5 crores, and the regular clubs, all the clubs, pay pretty lucrative salaries from 50 to 60 lakhs annualized basis. So there are good salaries going over there also. And of course, on the media side, there are a lot of opportunities there. So you could apply and get into any of these domains, the regulator, the sport, or the audience. And don't forget, there are humongous amount of entrepreneurship opportunities also for those of you who are planning to make a shift, right? So the industry is growing. It's a sunrise sector. Just imagine when the global sporting events are going to show interest. Already the NBA, the basketball guys, the cycling guys are showing interest in the Indian audience. Obviously, everything revolves around the concept is, productize the sport and make it watched by more and more people. And more people means India comes up there, 1 billion people, right? And billion young people. So it's only going to grow. So I hope if for those of you who are making a career in sport, make it big. I wish you all the luck. For the youngsters who are joining sport, my small value tip is that join at the regulator stage. That's the most unattractive. That's what it seems, but it gives you the best perspective of where the sports as an ecosystem is growing. So all the best to you. May you have a very happy, healthy, and a lucrative career in sport. If you want to connect offline for some specific tips, you're most welcome to connect. Until we meet again, goodbye, cheers, and all the best.